our shining star is Annika Martin. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Annika.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Well, I'm a writer, and I've been writing forever in some form or another. It was always my dream to be a novelist full time, and I have finally achieved that dream. I've had every kind of job, and I live in Minneapolis with my husband and 2 cats, who one of them right here.
Oh.
He's always with me, so he's in the closed chamber, the recording chamber. But anyway, yeah, and so I really I love funny books. I love to laugh, though I do like to switch off with some dramatic books too sometimes. So I'm just all over.
And I do love that. That does shine through in your book, and just not into billionaires. I feel like you have that tongue-in-cheek humor that I identify with, where I'm like, okay, you know how when sometimes you're around people and you say a joke and they're like, what? And I'm like, you're not my people. I speak in sarcasm and tongue-in-cheek humor. So definitely love the vibe that you put across there. So you also wrote as Rita Award-winning Carolyn Crane. Can you tell us a little bit more about your books that you wrote under that pen name?
Well, Carolyn Crane is the pen name that I started with. I started my journey traditionally published in 2010 with Random House, doing urban fantasy, sort of not, sort of like the werewolf genre, but it wasn't werewolves. I made up my own stuff. And then it was a trilogy, but then they dropped me after the 3rd one. And I was really distraught, or they dropped me after the 2nd one before the 3rd one came out on the most intense cliffhanger ever. The worst one you can imagine. So anyway, I eventually got a smaller publisher to put it out a year and a half later. But I was really sad, but it was one of those blessings in disguise where it made me learn all about self-publishing. And once I really learned about it, I was like, this is where I want to be. I don't even want to go back, kind of.
Let's just take a moment to show them you made this.
Okay.
This is beautiful. Number one, her style. If you guys have not seen Annika Martin's books and you were new to her, I was completely new to her when I stumbled across her books, and I am going to pull some of them up in the carousel. Just the covers are so stinking fun. I love them.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I don't make all my covers, but this is a simple one. And I don't make those little figures. On the very first book, I found stock cartoon, and I bought the little cartoons to use. And then I was writing more, so I needed more. So I went to Fiverr and I found an artist who draws little cartoons. And so I send her pictures of real people, those. This Benny he's a model. He's a Rodrigo. I can't remember his last name, but he's kind of a famous model. And I sent a picture of him and then a little outfit. And so it's super fun.
A picture to Instagram of him, and I was like, he looks like Benny. He looks like the Benny in my head.
Yes, right? That is him. Yes. It's kind of fun because I get to kind of go shopping for the characters. Here's what Benny would wear. Here's what Francine would wear,
This is what my new book boyfriend looks like today. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so you wrote under Carolyn Crane. Do you have any more books that you'll be writing under her, or are you just going to be writing under Annika Martin?
I may go back to Carolyn Crane. There's the series, the romantic suspense series that I won the Rita for, has 4 books, and there's one character, Dax, who I always feel like needs a book. I don't really plan very far ahead, so it's not planned, but it's always sort of in my mind, I've sort of, Dax is out there needing love.
It's time to tie up loose ends.
Yes. Yes. So that may happen, but yeah.
So the Billionaires of Manhattan series, where did you get the inspiration for this series from?
It was actually the first book is, I always liked to read fun books. I like chick lit, I came out of that whole sort of era of reading, and I love funny movies. And so but I was writing dark. I don't know why. I was writing serious stuff. And then remember, I don't know if you remember, but there was that news story in New York about Leona Helmsley, the hotel. She was a big hotel person, a billionaire, and she left a lot of her estate to her dog. And people were really mad because she was fabulously wealthy, and the dog was a billionaire. The dog was more of a millionaire, and her like descendants were kind of mad too. And I was always like, oh, it would be really fun to like write a rom-com about that. And then I was writing these more darkish mafia books. And in the third book, I don't know if people have read them, they might notice, but there was like this kind of comic voice. Like the villain would have like these chapters, and he would be like kind of funny and snarky. And I was like, I really just want to write this funny villain. And then I realized it's time to really just write a rom-com, because there was this sort of bursting out of me like alien, like I need to write a rom-com. So then I'd always had this Leona Helmsley idea in my head, like, wouldn't it be funny if, a dog was at a big boardroom meeting, and like the heroine was like sort of the custodian of the dog, kind of talking for the dog and advocating for the dog. And there's like an angry hero who feels he should have inherited the corporation, but the dog inherited the corporation. So anyway, that was the genesis for the first one. And I didn't plan it as a series, but I had so much fun, and it just like it worked out right. And it just felt like this is a really natural thing for me to be writing. I think sometimes writers need to write a lot of stuff before they find, I think it's anything, even with jobs, you have to do a lot of stuff before you find like, oh, this is kind of home, or like the little bear like trying out different beds.
I love that you said that, because I feel like, well, there's so many options now being self-published, is you really don't have to stay in a box. Oh, we have to stay in this box, because I mean, the more and more authors I interview, you guys are such artists, and it's like saying you have to paint like this. Well, but they don't paint like that. Not everybody thinks like that. And I love what you said about taking dark romance or dark books and all different kinds of genres and then flipping over to a rom-com. And the same thing, if you look behind me on my bookshelf, I've got everything from fantasy to rom-com to romance to everything, mysteries, thrillers. And I try to interview just vast different authors on this show, because there's something for everyone. And I love that you kind of bounce back and forth, and you're not afraid to step into a new role and really just explore that thoroughly, which you have done with this Billionaire series. And it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yeah, it's, I mean, it is like sort of in the author world, people are always like, should I start a new pen name if I'm going to start doing this? Or should I keep my same pen name, sort of we don't confuse readers. But in my mind, I always feel like I read widely, you read widely, like people read widely. So when I find an author I like even if they hop genres, I'm with them for the ride if I read that genre, though, like if I was writing like something super, super dirty and then YA, I might go with a new pen name then, but not to confuse the kids or anything.
And that's what I'm finding. And there are a lot of pen names out there, and it's a lot of fun. I do a little research on people before I get them on the show, and I'm like, wait a minute. I interviewed someone recently, and I figured out she had written over 100 romance books for Harlequin. But she had written these thrillers under a different name. And I'm like,
funny.
Wait a minute. And I love just uncover. It's kind of like finding little Easter eggs and different gems. I love that. So what are you currently working on?
Right now I'm actually working on a new one of my Kinky Bank Robbers series.
Nice. Okay.
It's sort of like my fun series. It's like super crazy.
And what's that series? So I can pull it up in the hopper down below.
Okay. It starts with the hostage bargain.
Okay.
Basically, that's my sort of, it's sort of my crazy fun series that I have a lot of fun with. And it's the dirtiest one that I write for sure.
That is hilarious.
It's just, I love the characters. It's just like these bank robbers that take this bank teller hostage, and then they decide to be in a gang together, and it's just this funny series. So anyway.
So what does your family think about your romance and steamy scenes? Do they say, oh my gosh, what is going on? Or do they know?
Right. It is. I know at first I was like, nobody must know that's in my life. Like nobody must read this. And then, but then you just kind of go, you know, people are going to know it's not me. They know that that's not me. And I don't know, you know, and then you just kind of go, this is what I do. It's just a kind of an art thing. And I don't know, you just get used to it. Or sometimes I just sort of don't think about it. Like we just moved to a new place and, you know, my neighbors are like, oh, what do? You know, and I'm like, oh, I'm this author, Annika Martin. And then sometimes I'm like, I see them on the street and I'm like, I get that a little like, again, like, oh, what must they think? Like, I'm so used to it.
When people ask what you do you tell them you're an author?
Yeah, I just do. I tell them I'm a romance author. It's fine, you know, and people have reactions like, ooh, you know, or I'll say romantic comedy because that is what I'm doing now mostly.
Yeah.
But people sometimes, I don't know, I think sometimes they think immediately like 50 Shades of Grey, you know.
Which is crazy. That is not what I think of. When I think of romance, I think of like 25 other authors, but that's okay. Maybe if that's not what they read. I typically was not a romance reader up until maybe like a year and a half ago. I read a lot of contemporary fiction, not really romance at all. And I discovered Kristen Ashley. She's the gateway drug.
Amazing.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, I kind of like this. And I've read everything. So I read a lot of romance now, which led me to yours, which I'm super thankful that I got to meet you and learn about your books because I had no idea you existed. So that's fun. I love to show, like we were talking about earlier, hidden gems with our audience and find really good authors that they might not have known about and, you know, become their next favorite author. And so
I really love that. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I know, like I read a lot of literary fiction, like growing up, like or in college and stuff, and like I rediscovered genre fiction because I started like reading with fantasy, and you know, just as a child, you know, you're reading all those sort of magical books, and then I got really serious about what I was reading, and I came into romance, and I was like, I forgot what it was like to want to hide with a book, like. Let the world go away. All I need is me and a corner and this book for 5 hours, you know, and just so excited about books. And I hadn't felt like that for a really long time. And I came back with the Outlander. Did you read that, Outlander? It's that they have a TV show.
I haven't read them, but I've watched the show.
Yeah, and I was just like obsessed. I was like, oh my God, I could just read. Like, I just wanted to stay up all night and read that book. And I hadn't felt like that since I was in 6th grade. And
those are on my wish list right now. I want the whole series.
Oh, it was so fun. I should have put that on my little thing, my, you know.
On the carousel, yeah.
The carousel, but I had to like email my friend who suggested it repeatedly, like, please tell me Jamie will be okay. Just tell me. You know, so like, I'm not going to tell you the end. And I'm like, no, begging, please. Because I didn't want to read the end. Probably should have.
Yeah. I know. Sometimes you get so like invested. You're like, let me just see what happens.
Right. Sometimes I have to know.
Yeah. Where is your favorite place to write?
You know, I really like to, I have, for the first time, so we just moved this summer, and I've always been in apartment buildings and condos. And for the first time I have a yard and a little table with an umbrella. So I am out there writing. I can't write in the sunshine for some reason. It's very distracting, but if there's an umbrella over me, I love being out there. I feel like just this sort of lady of leisure out there. I love it.
Lady of leisure. I love that.
But I'm like actually working pretty hard, but you know, it's just sort of a dream, like, oh, look at me outside, tight.
So I think I read this somewhere. I read this on your bio or something, that you did a lot of different jobs while you were working to make your dream of being a full-time novelist. Like, what are some jobs that you did just to get to this dream place of writing your novels?
Well, I was a waitress for a really long time. Like I waited tables probably at a dozen places in Minneapolis. And then I was also worked at a little import store. And then later on, I became I wrote advertising copy, like websites for builders and things like that. And so I did that for a long time, thinking, you know, maybe I should like have more of a career in writing. But I was always doing novels on the side. And, you know, And so like, as I was a freelance advertising writer, and I just kind of dumped clients, I like sort of let go clients as I made more of novels, novels sort of rose and advertising dropped.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not explaining that very well. I can explain.
No, I totally get that. I used to own a marketing firm, so I totally get that when I scaled back clients to do what I wanted to do, and I get that. So did you always want to be a writer?
Yes, always. Yes. Isn't that
When
funny?
did you start writing? When did you think?
As a child, like poetry. Yeah, as a child, and then I would write funny essays. And I was really into writing funny essays, and then but I wasn't really working very hard at it. I was I wanted to be a writer conceptually, but I feel like I wasn't, I wasn't sort of goal oriented, or I don't know. I just got serious at some point, and I was like, let me write this. Let me write a book. Let me see what do I love? Let me write that. I was doing sort of really quirky stuff, and then I was like. And I still really do kind of like to do quirky stuff, but I sort of more channeled. I think writing, when you're going to be successful in writing, you need to go, what is my passion? But you can't just go out into planet Pluto and do your passion. You kind of also have to go, what's the intersection of my passion and what people actually want to read, And I had to ask myself that question.
Wow. Well, you're doing a fantastic job. Do you have any advice for aspiring writers?
Well, what I just said would be a piece of advice is to do that. Because I think you can't really follow just the market. Werewolves are really big. And even though I have no, care about werewolves, I want to write that. So you can't really just do that. You again have to go, what do I like? What do I resonate with? But also what's realistically are people buying? Because it's really easy to go, if I write this well enough, even though it's weird and nobody reads it, maybe people will start. You can't say that to yourself. And I think it's really easy if you're really passionate about a project to think, no, people are going to be passionate about it. And sometimes it does happen that way, but not always. And so I think so it's important to go, what do I love that can actually work out there? And then I think also just being a learning machine. I always say this, but people have feedback, the market has feedback. And it's I think being open to not being precious about your work, but kind of rolling with advice and the punches, and just kind of going if this didn't work, how can I make this better? Instead of I think it's really easy to get into a mindset of oh, this book didn't work, I'm a horrible writer. And so you have to. It's too. I don't know. There's that book Mindset by Carol Dweck, I think. Oh, which we should watch. You have that?
Yeah, I have that on my shelf. That's a good one.
It's an amazing one, and it's just sort of it's just about not viewing yourself as a static thing, but more as an evolving sort of thing. That, anyway, a bad summary that you probably wouldn't agree with, but.
You have written so many books, so you have walked that walk and talked that talk for sure of just keeping going. And I think there's a quote somewhere, write books for yourself, pretty much. Write the books you want to read.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
I think that's also probably some amazing advice to have.
I think that's really good advice. Yes, the books that you want to read. Yeah.
I know some people. Do you read your own books back? I mean, do you find yourself turning it and reading through it and then getting sucked into it?
That's a really interesting question. I don't really sit down and read my books for pleasure. Sometimes I read to kind of remember what I was doing, Sometimes when I'm starting a book and I'm reading a finished book, I'm like, how did I ever do this? Can I do it again? But yeah, so hold on. I see a cat. All right, I almost saw a cat disaster.
Okay, we like cats.
It's not really going to happen now. Never mind.
We like cats and dogs here, and Amazon almost always rings my doorbell during these. So
right,
real life. Well, where can we find you on social media?
Okay, I am on Instagram at Annika Martin Author, and I just joined TikTok, but I have nothing up there.
Everyone's joining TikTok. I feel like I need to go to TikTok school.
Are you on TikTok?
Yeah. I am, and I have a few on there that my son made. You would think I would know how to do this. I have a YouTube channel, but TikTok and YouTube are two different animals.
I think it's a different animal from everything. Well, I'm going to go be your TikTok friend.
I do have a really funny book one on there that my son made before we went on vacation last month. And it's actually true that I had a suitcase full of books and no clothes. And we went on vacation. Last minute, I threw some stuff in there, but I was like, I just want to read all these books for my upcoming guests. And it was a lot of fun. But I love book talk. I'm always following book talk and author talk and things like that. And that's where I get a lot of ideas. So I think it's cool when authors are on there. It makes me want to read all their books for sure.
I know. I love seeing what the other authors are doing. Yeah.
And I'm always like, how are you doing this? This is like a learning curve. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I could figure it out.
I bet you can.
Everything's figure outable, right? That's what Marie Folio says. But
yes. I was like, where have I heard that before? Oh, I love her.
Love her. She has a great book on that. That was a really great book, actually, by Marie Folio. Everything is figure outable. I think that's the title.
I love that phrase. I actually had that on a little note on my computer one time because it's just
so
true. Like you just can do it.
In such a lucky day and age that you can Google and YouTube and Amazon Live anything you want to learn.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yes. I love it. And there's someone who will their face will tell you, they'll get on a video and tell you all about it. You don't even have to bother.
Here on Amazon, we'll tell you all about the best books to read.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the show, Annika. Love. You guys, down below, $4.99. You cannot beat $4.99. Download it right away to your Kindle. You can download it right now today. And I pulled it up in the carousel. You will love Annika Martin's book. You don't have to go back and read it from the beginning if you don't want to. I jumped into this one first.
Oh, they all stand totally alone.
Yeah. So sometimes people get overwhelmed. They're like, oh, I have to read them all. Nope. Just go ahead and grab this one. You will not be sorry. You will fall in love with Francine and Benny and love their storyline. And I loved it because I actually got married in Vegas. So.
Oh, did you?
In a drive-through chapel. So
oh my goodness, that's so funny.
I love that. I love that part in the book. I was like, hey, I did that once.
Oh, that is hilarious. So the storyline is that they got married in Vegas 10 years ago and didn't realize they were married. And I was like, can this really happen? After I was writing the book, and I Googled it and it happened in Garofalo.
Yeah, it can. You have to go to the courthouse and get your marriage license, but I'm pretty sure you could do that pretty tanked. And we got married at 9 a.m. I woke up and
funny.
I was like, where's my future husband? He was still downstairs gambling at 8 in the morning. So I called him. I'm like, we're getting married in an hour. He's like, oh crap, I got to wrap this up, guys. I got to go get married.
That is hilarious.
And then we met and got in a limo, drove to the courthouse, got our license, and then drove through a drive-through chapel and got married.
You did drive-through. That's so funny.
You get to pick your menu item, and then you drove up, and the lady did your vows in the limo. We didn't get out, and then we were married.
That's makes a really fun wedding story.
Well, we talked about having a big wedding, but our family lived all over in different places, and it just got really overwhelming. And we kind of do things our own way anyway. So we're like, let's just go to Vegas.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. And it's been we just had our anniversary last month, so it's been 14 years. So.
Oh, cool. I was gonna say, I hope this is the guy that you're still married.
Yep. He's my ride or die. He also does Amazon Lives too. So.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah, I think I've seen. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I cannot wait to read more. I'm going to be watching. I'm following you on Amazon now too, guys. If you don't know how to do that, go on Amazon here and go to the author's bio and hit that follow button. And it's nice because when they put something new out, you'll get a little email on occasion and you won't miss any other work. So thank you so much. And I'm going to look you up on TikTok too.
We're going to be TikTok friends. Okay. Thank you so much. Goodbye, everybody.
You too. All right.